A young adventurer makes a surprising discovery during an archaeological expedition in remote China. As he unravels the secrets of a lost civilization, he faces supernatural forces that threaten the world. Hey, that's the summary of the 2015 feature film Chronicles of the Ghostly Tribe, a gripping movie that mixes adventure, fantasy, and suspense. Are you ready? Let's go to the recap. At the beginning of the 20th century, a series of strange events occurred in China, with unexplained cases, ancient artifacts, and completely strange fossils being discovered. Soon the 749 Agency was founded to investigate these events on a large scale, and with great care. In the mountains of Kunlun, China, an army of workers give their all to speed up the mountain's discoveries. Women provide moral support, while men, soldiers, and researchers work hard. Mission volunteer Hubei is rescued by nurse Yangping when he falls to the ground with no strength left. After gaining strength from the drink in her presence, he carries on with his work, but this time it's different because he seems to know her from another life. Everyone is stopped for attention when a huge fossil, the skull of an unknown creature, is discovered in the excavation tunnel. Professor Yang Lin and a large team are inside the cave removing all the newly discovered bones. When one of them notices that the flames are growing in volume, then a huge explosion occurs, something caused by the combustion of gas, which takes on a large proportion outside, pushing all the workers out. When it passes, all the soldiers are on the lookout, but then Professor Lin comes out and manages to explain the situation. The explosion was caused by an unknown tunnel. Soon the agents and all the workers gather to volunteer for a new expedition to the open area. A squad is then formed, and among them is Yangping and Hubei, who volunteers right after she introduces herself. Everyone enters the place, realizing the disaster, and soon finds the entrance to the tunnel, which leads to a giant moat, and at the top of the mountain there are large statues. They soon realize that there they must find a new civilization, and that this could change history. They start to descend and realize that there are different species there. They find a huge crack in the ice, which they also have to go down, and at the bottom they find an untouched place with skeletons of creatures everywhere. There they realize that there is a way out, which gives a view of the mountains, and Professor Lin, standing next to Hubei, tells him an old legend about a certain mountain where there is possibly a portal to an ancient ghost kingdom, and that there are secrets buried there. Behind them, the other men in the group find a huge footprint and warn the agents that they have stayed outside and that they are prepared to receive any possible trouble. At the expedition location, a gigantic creature is in the vicinity, and small bats start flying over everyone. One of them tries to attack the professor, but a volunteer manages to stop it with his hand. What he didn't expect is that this being has the power to burn in seconds whoever touches it. Soon he and two other men are reduced to ashes. The group is surrounded, and they try to protect themselves at all costs. One of them is wounded, but when only one is hit, all the others flee instantly. The giant creature watches them, and with a single movement creates an avalanche, making everyone in the group prone to try to survive. But it takes on colossal proportions, burying part of the group. Just when they think it's over, the overwhelming force of the avalanche passes over a mountain, and everyone, with no way out, on the edge of an ice cliff, takes action, throwing themselves down in an attempt to protect themselves with ropes tied in pairs. They descend and end up sliding down the walls into a cave with lots of ice spikes, which end up eliminating many of the volunteers. They only manage to stop when they find another cliff, which traps Hu and Yangping by the rope on an ice spike. But the swinging motion gradually causes the rope to snap under their weight, and they end up falling into the darkness of the cliff. For a split second, Hubei wakes up on a train, and the story continues with just four of them, not knowing exactly how they survived the crash. They gather up everything that's left and make their way through the dark, unknown place. Soon they find a great hall, the ancient Kunlun shrine, where inside there may be a demon, and find the secrets of the legend of the ghost tribe. So says the teacher, who has been looking for it for years. In front of the temple, he lights a candle, which seems to wake him up, as if he was expecting them to do that. Professor Li then leads Hubei and his daughter Yangping into the temple without explaining why. As they enter, a portal opens in the dome of the temple as soon as they hold hands, manifesting a great energy around the sanctuary, and a beam of light connects the peak of Kunlun Mountain with the sky, awakening creatures and releasing ghostly spirits everywhere. But that was stopped when the captain and Hubei's great friend blew out the big candle, stopping everything immediately, closing the portal, shattering part of the rocks and attracting the attention of the small bats that soon surrounded them. While everyone tried to leave the place, the captain of the operation decided to confront the flying creatures, to give the three of them time to leave, sacrificing himself as bait, attracting the creatures and exploding them all on top of him. The three of them go off in search of somewhere to protect themselves and find an exit that leads to a waterfall at the top of the mountain. Soon the small creatures appear, and Hubei tries to protect father and daughter, but when Yangping sees him burning from the creature, he pushes him away and throws himself towards the waterfall. The doctor also follows. In the depths of that water, Hubei and Yangping meet, but down there is a sea creature that tries to catch them. It quickly manages to push Hubei away, but ends up captured and carried away by the creature. Hubei is helpless and just watches it being carried away. After that, the agents find only Hubei as the only survivor, with no trace of Professor Yang or his daughter. The story changes time when, years later, Hubei wakes up again in the train carriage, where the same soldiers who were on the mission are singing right in front of him. But when he pays closer attention, he identifies that it was a projection of his head. When you get off the train, you are greeted by Mr. Wang, while two guys look for you in the cars. Mr. Wang takes you to work in a library in Beijing, China, and gives you all the directions to the place. Hubuyu sits down at his post and puts up the image of the mission, revealing to us that it all happened. Soon the two go to a place for dinner, and there Hubei meets a childhood friend. On his way back to the library, he happens to find a book with the name Professor Yang in it, where he discovers that that trip wasn't the first time the professor had been to the Kunlun Mountains, and he realizes that the professor's intention on the expedition had always been to open the portal for the demon to come out. So he knew that Yangping and he were the only ones who could unlock the seals. Meanwhile, at Agency 749, they are still looking for Hubei, who disappeared 3 years ago after being found in 1979 as the only survivor of the expedition. During this time, archaeologists from the agency managed to find ancient tombs, and when they opened the last sarcophagus, they found the completely preserved body of Yangping and arrested her because she is completely different now, has lost her memory, and has abnormal powers. So they give her the name Shirley so they don't find out who she is. They also find, this time with memory, Professor Yang, who was knocked unconscious when he fell into the water and woke up inside a sarcophagus, managing to get out of the place through a tunnel. As time goes by, Hubei sometimes receives books and magazines from someone about Professor Yang's study of that place and creatures, and he studies incessantly in order to decipher why the professor wanted to free the demon, and only he and Yangping could do it. As time passes, events in an oil town quickly devastate everything, disappearing in a matter of hours. At the agency, Professor Yang learns of the attack and tells everyone that the incident is directly related to what happened in Kunlun. As a whole has been opened in space and time, releasing various creatures. Hubei is still suffering from back pain from what happened, and the agency discovers his whereabouts when he has to go to the doctor for an X-ray. When he returns to the library, he begins to feel something different at the site of the wound, and a blue flame quickly takes hold of him. His friend tries to help, but is sent away when Hubei gets up in pain, revealing his powers, and everything in the hall is suspended and only stops when Mr. Wang arrives. He explains to him that his blood has been contaminated by the fire bats of the ghost tribe, and that this gives him powers but can also lead him to hell, and reveals that he is the guardian of the tomb, transforming the library into the tomb of an ancient prince, with the spirits of those who died trying to protect the tomb. Ali Hubei discovers that he is being sought by the ghost tribe, when Mr. Wang explains to him that aliens landed on Earth, along with a demon, and that civilization was more advanced, and soon conquered the earth. But before the human race was exterminated, Prince Yi led humanity in the war against the aliens, sealing the tower and trapping the demon in his own body. And even with a few demons loose, the humans managed to eliminate the vast majority, and the few that survived spread across the earth, secretly marrying humans and gradually beginning to resemble each other. But every 40 or 50 years, they have to break a fatal curse by freeing the demon imprisoned in the prince's tomb, and only he, Hubei, the prince's descendant, can free him, which is why they are after him. Under the agent's watch, when Professor Yang goes to search again, they manage to escape in the distraction of everyone. Under the watchful eyes of the agents, when Professor Yang goes to conduct new searches, he manages to escape in the distraction of everyone. Yangping's memory is regained shortly after what happened with Hubei, wanting to find her father and Hubei. Agent Hu visits Hubei and explains to him that they have found the professor and his daughter, but they need his help to locate the professor, as he escaped on a mission. Soon after, Mr. Wang tells him that it's safer for him to stay under his protection, since the last time he entered the mountain temple, he almost freed the demon. But as soon as an attempt is made to break into the prince's tomb, Hubei decides that he needs to find out what happened to Yangping. Hubei goes with his friend to the place where Ping is, but when he gets there, he is surprised at how she welcomes him, not being the same. His feelings have disappeared, and she tells him that she is not Yangping, but is called Shirley. They set off in search of the professor, through uninhabitable places, and for a moment when Hubei tries to talk to her again, away from the agents, she shows him that she is pretending, telling him not to trust the agents. Later they come up against a storm and try to get away, but suddenly they come across a shield protecting the oil town, which had been destroyed by creatures. During the storm, many were lost, including Hubei's friend. They were left without their camels and decided to walk near some old oil pumping machines, but the land was inhabited by creatures, who soon appeared trying to capture them. They tried to hide, and two more appeared, one high up and the other on the ground, capturing some of the men, two of whom only managed to get out when they got some distance away and managed to get through the shield. They soon managed to find Hubei and everyone else in the city, and tell them what happened to the creatures. Hubei does everything he can to convince everyone to leave, but the agents aren't just there to find the professor, they are determined to find the creatures. Before long, they are surprised by the sounds of the creatures and try to protect themselves. When a bus inexplicably approaches, they get ready and manage to shoot down the first one. Right behind it, another one appears, and as Yangping tries to run away, she goes after it. Hubei doesn't understand why she's doing this, and goes after it. She then heads towards the place where the creatures appeared, and enters a pit. In the city, the downed creature manages to get up and hides from everyone. Soon, in a flock, 7 more creatures approach. Then they position themselves for the arrival. When they get close, they start shooting, many of which manage to dodge and reach the agents, eliminating them. Hubei enters the tunnel following Yangping, and discovers that down there is the tomb of Prince Yi. Soon one of the creatures is lurking, and surprises him by throwing him with a pact that stops him on the side of the sarcophagus. Already unconscious, Yangping appears right in front of the creature, and soon it comes down as if it knew her. She then puts Hubei inside the sarcophagus and leaves. Hubei wakes up to his protector, Mr. Wang, telling him that as soon as the ghost tribe returns, Prince Yi will be resurrected, and he too will come back to life. He is then taken to the same place as at the beginning of the movie, the temple on Kunlun Mountain, where the same creature from the depths brings Yangping's real body, and a celestial being reattaches his spirit, and the creature retreats with it on its head. The being presents herself as the guardian of the temple, and Hubei demands that she bring Yangping back. She tells him that now she is one of them, and that only the two of them can open the portal, because inside it lies the curse of the ghost tribe. By opening the portal, the curse will be broken, and they can thus save millions of the tribe living on Earth. Hubei questions whether it has already been opened in the Kunlun Mountains, and she tells him that if Captain Sun hadn't interfered, they would have opened it, and now they must enter again, and only then can he bring Yangping back to life. Hubei, thinking quickly, manages to convince the being to go and talk to Yangping, who is dominated by the spirit of the tribe. When he says that he just wants to try and save his friends, so she lets him go. Hubei reappears in the city, and everyone is being attacked by the creatures, so he tries his best to help everyone, but is hit by one of the creatures. Yangping begins to feel different towards Hubei, and one of the creatures notices, so she, with imposing strength, with just one arm, takes a car and hits the ferocious creature. She then goes to Hubei, taking him in her arms, and tries to get him to return with her to the prince's sarcophago. But there, with all the men cornered by the creatures, Hubei makes a decision, needing to eliminate Yangping. Soon all the creatures leave, and the temple collapses. She falls and her real body returns, managing to say goodbye to Hubei before losing her strength. In a desperate measure, Hubei takes her to the prince's sarcophagus, remembering that the prince can be resurrected there. He lies down next to her, and he can hear her voice, which explains that she was a descendant of the ghost tribe, that during her lifetime, she discovered her healing powers, and that was what saved them from falling down the mountain. She also tells him that when her mother reached a certain age, she turned to ashes due to a genetic curse, and that her father, the teacher, struggled all his life to find a cure, until he finally found Hubei to open the portal. She ends by saying that she has always loved him, because she admired his sweet, gentle, good man manner, and asks him to find her father, even if he still has to face all the creatures that inhabit the earth. Don't forget to keep supporting the channel, subscribe, like the video, leave your opinion in the comments, or continue here by choosing one of the videos on the screen. That's it. See you next time.